Hello and welcome to our next webinar. And you've probably never seen this. You've seen us do them together, but we're actually in person this time.
Yay.
Looking a little crazy. We did some Interjet treatments on our neck. So we both look the same though, so that makes me feel better. But thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a very fun one, tech neck, because I'm sure that a lot of your clients are already asking for it, right? It's something that we are all unfortunately going to face because that's the world we're in because of these bad boys. And then also what we're on right now, right? Our computers. So we're kind of always looking down. So we're always kind of, challenged with that, which is great because Sinclair, we have a lot of solutions that we're going to share with you guys. And we made it kind of fun too, just like, different scenarios that you may find yourself in with different types of clients. So we wanted to make it fun for you guys. Okay, so we will open up the PowerPoint. Just give us 1 second.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll start talking about the ultimate tech neck solution. I should have said tech neck solutions because we'll be talking about a lot of different devices and technologies that we have that you can offer your patients. So we'll talk about what is tech neck. So they are horizontal lines that form across the neck from repeatedly looking down at our handheld devices or other electronic devices like our computers, even iPads and whatnot. This is due to the repetitive motion. So it definitely creates those dynamic wrinkles or those wrinkles you make when in motion. But over time, and a lot of use of that handheld device, it definitely then creates those static wrinkles. So now those wrinkles are set in and they definitely need treatment to be resolved. So again, this happens because of the repetitive motion of the neck, but also just in general, the skin of the neck is thinner than our face. It also has less sebaceous glands as well. So we know how helpful oil is to the skin while aging, right? When the skin is more dry and whatnot, and just does not have as many sebaceous glands, you can just see more visible signs of aging. So that's what tech neck is. Welcome back. And what to know. So recent studies show that exposure of human skin cells to light emitted from our electronic devices, so that blue light, even for exposure as short as 1 hour, which I don't know about you, but I am on my phone more than an hour every day, it may cause oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is extrinsic aging, right? It causes cell shrinkage, cell death. It affects our collagen and elastin, and it just prematurely ages us, right? And I really don't think we talk about blue light as extrinsic aging, like we talk about the sun, which of course it's important to talk about the sun. It's the #1 cause of extrinsic aging, but we just don't talk about blue light enough. We're exposed all day, every day, and primarily our face and our neck. And that is why I wanted to mention this. So not only are we creating those lines through repetitive motion, but also our neck is just, exposed to more oxidative stress through blue light and the sun and whatnot. So there are things that we can do to help this as far as the blue light goes. Physical sunscreen every single day. And whenever I'm in training, and I'm talking to patients, like wear sunscreen every day. And they're like, well, I don't really go anywhere. I'm like, well, you're still exposed to, blue light now that we know, and sunlight.
Even windows. Some people don't consider like their office window.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this blue light. So physical sunscreen, by the way. So we need that physical block from the blue light versus, chemical sunscreen where it absorbs into the skin. We do not want that. And also antioxidants, just like we use to protect ourselves from the sun. So like vitamin C is my favorite, honestly. Yeah. It's a must have.
Yeah.
So tech neck treatments are more sought after by millennials. Like I've had a phone since I was 11. So most of my life I've been looking down at my cell phone. So this is why, and we're not necessarily aging in our neck quite yet. So we have these lines prematurely that really bother us. So it's primarily millennials, but also Gen X, they're spending a lot of time on their phones as well. Plus they have additional aging symptoms that are just happening naturally. And then globally, the average screen time per day is 6 hours and 58 minutes. I was telling Kara, when I see my screen report come up, I like scream. Oh my gosh, that is so horrible, but it's just part of our life, right? Especially being on the communication side for Sinclair.
Yeah.
So TechNet is not going anywhere, honestly. We're using technology more and more and more in our everyday lives. So it's definitely an in-demand treatment now, but it'll definitely start increasing as well.
Yeah.
Sadly, but good for the business side.
Totally.
So kind of leading into how we are using technology more and more in our everyday life, the pandemic really increased the demand and the want for aesthetic treatments. So the increase of video calls due to the pandemic also increased appearance, I can't talk today, appearance,
I can't most days.
appearance dissatisfaction, and even dysmorphic concern. So this really demonstrated a link between video calls and aesthetic treatments. So I was working in clinic in 2020 and even 2021. And I heard this all the time not 2022. I was with Sinclair. In 2021, I really heard a lot of people say, like, I'm, working from home now, I'm on my Zoom call and I do not like what I see, whether it's like facial sagging or neck sagging. It really has kind of increased the need in the.
That's actually nice that you were actually in clinic hearing it.
Yeah,
we talk about it, we know it's happening, but you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, definitely. I heard it quite often. So really interesting survey that I wanted to include. It was published by Facial Plastic Surgery and Aesthetic Medicine. 40% of respondents who had never tried cosmetic procedures before have been inspired to pursue them based on how they look on video conferencing platforms. So they're just seeing themselves more often, and they don't like what they see. So, and most expressed interest in non-surgical options. So most people do not want the cost, first of all, or the risk or the downtime. They can't afford the downtime of surgical procedures. So most are seeking non-invasive treatments, which is great for you, obviously.
Yeah.
And then in another recent study, 86.4% of aesthetic providers reported an increase of patients interested in aesthetic treatments compared to before the pandemic. 50%, this is why I wanted to add this, 50% of patients for neck sagging.
Wow.
Yes. So it definitely has increased and created a huge boom within the medical aesthetic industry, and non-invasive more specifically, which is great. It's cool. Okay. One more for me. So social media influence. We have seen time and time again how social media influences and affects the medical aesthetic industry. I feel like we talk about it on like every webinar that we do together. When we talked about our V-Slim protocol, so that non-invasive buccal fat pad removal or reduction with the non-invasive option, but surgical buccal fat pad removal really was trending over the summer, and it kind of caused patients who were not necessarily a candidate to then seek out that surgery, right? So it's just time and time again we see, there's a topic on social media that's huge, specifically TikTok. I would say it's definitely I'd say the most popular platform at the moment. And we're seeing this with tech neck as well. It is all over, and we're seeing it with necklines. So it's really important to kind of see what's trending within medical aesthetics. And then you definitely, if you have the solutions, which you do, post about it on your social media platforms, because these patients are learning about it through social media. So they know about it and they want to see that you provide it.
And how perfect that they're looking down and it's
yes. You are literally forming tech neck right now. That's actually a really good video
looking
idea.
for a solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. Someone do that, please. We should have done that. Yeah. So it's definitely being talked about on social media right now. So it's a good time to start posting about tech neck. Yeah, it's out there for sure.
I love that. That's a great idea.
Yes.
And you're so right about just the trends and people going on their search on social media, searching for the provider for the craze that's going on at that moment.
Yeah, people really use social media like Google nowadays, honestly. Yeah. So really important to use social media to your advantage, especially on trending topics that you can provide a solution for.
That's great.
Yes.
Can I just use this here?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So, like I said earlier, we wanted to find a way of making it fun, right? And it's It's more so for you guys in knowing what kind of clients are sitting in front of you and in a consultation, maybe challenges that you face. So for example, we kind of made it fun with the names. For example, no one can know, right? You probably have those patients come in, no one can know. You know, my husband can't know that I'm spending money on this right now. I don't want my coworkers, you know, to see this craziness. Or they just have a job where they can't do it, right? So patients who do not want downtime, what's your solution for them for TechNec? The gotta have it now. I want results now. I wanted results yesterday. You know, I don't care what you have to do, and I don't care what I'm going to look like. I want it. So those are the patients who are wanting fast results. Do you have the solution for them? The pinching my pennies. Listen, I do the same thing. Probably all of us have been in that scenario where it's like, okay, I want something really bad, but can I really afford it, right? So do you have a solution for patients who are, you know, really are maybe can't afford the procedures, maybe don't want to go all in with all of their money because they're not sure if it works yet, you know, all of those different scenarios, do you have that solution as well? So I think those are probably the three most popular type of clients that you could see. Okay, so in the next few slides, we're going to break down the technology a bit, short, one slide per technology, and then we're going to go into breaking down these more so. So when you have the no one can know. Really reading that aggressively. No one can know what technologies do you use, what's your combination approach, because you know her and I are all about combinations, and Sinclair in general is. They got to have it now. What's your solution? What are the technologies you're using? What are the combination approaches? And then, you know, really making sure that you can provide a service that people that maybe can't afford it. So what's the combination there? How can you still give them results if they can't spend a lot of money on the procedures, which we totally get, right? Okay, so the first one, technologies that we're going to go through is the Energet. So for some of you, you may own this. For some of you, you may not. For some of you, this may be the first time you're ever hearing about it, which is exciting for us. Okay, so what is it? So that is why our necks look like this. We did Energet filming yesterday. And what is it doing? Why are we injecting this into our neck? So the Energet, it uses a high velocity jet stream, really high pressure. And then we use different liquids, different products in the handpiece in the system to deliver it then into the tissue. We deliver it at 200 microns. So it's a teeny tiny entry point, just like almost like a pinprick. And once the compound that we have in the system enters the skin, it bursts into nanoparticles and then it incorporates into the tissue. So, for example, you can use a cross-linked HA, such as Juvederm, such as Restylane, such as Versa, such as all the others.
The list goes on and on.
The list goes on and on. I just drew a blank. All the others. And what you're doing is you're taking that 1 ml of your cross-linked filler, let's just say we're using Juvederm Ultra, and we are highly diluting it with 9 ml of saline. So it's highly diluted. The reason why we do that is so that it's not as viscous, so it can actually come through the handpiece and enter into the skin. And then that's when it bursts into those nanoparticles, integrates into the tissue. What are we doing? Let me make sure I'm not skipping ahead. This is only one slide or two.
Just one.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're doing a couple things. One, we're creating a micro trauma to the skin. Just with that entry point alone, we're creating that process of inducing collagen, right? We're creating that mechanical injury. The fibroblast cells get excited in that area. We're going to have production of collagen and strengthening elastin. But moreover, which I have a couple studies to show you at the end of the PowerPoint, moreover, it's really whatever compound that you're using that's integrating into that tissue, it's long living, right? The cross-linked HA, it's long living. It could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be a year, sometimes 2 years, especially in a neck when like you know how lip filler doesn't last too long because of what I'm doing right now. moving them, moving them, moving them. It's breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. It's metabolizing faster, right? In the neck, we don't have that kind of movement. So it's going to last longer. And because it's long lasting and that integrating into the tissue, we're also getting turgidity to the skin, meaning that deep hydration, that deep plumping effect. I can't tell you how unreal this technology is for dermal thickening. So those deep necklines for tech neck, deep lines, those are one of the hardest things to treat. This is unbelievable because it really is good at one, stimulating collagen, but that dermal thickening is incredible because of that HA that's living in that tissue for that length of time. And then if you have your older clients that are coming for tech neck, they may have crepiness and loose skin on top of it. So this is an ideal solution for them. Okay, so that's what it's doing. I hope all of that made sense. By the way, when I say filler, some people's minds, especially if you already are an injector, of course, we know filler fills. This isn't filling necessarily because it's bursting into those tiny nanoparticles, 1/1000th of a meter. They're tiny. So it's not filling. However, it's causing the skin to kind of naturally fill itself in a very dramatic way. Okay, so here is our treatment that we did yesterday. So here's my tech neck.
Before.
So before,
Oops,
and then
sorry.
oh, it's okay. So you can see my lines aren't too bad. I don't think I have the 7 hours of screen time every day. But they're starting, right? So great to jump on top of it before they set in deeply, right? So this is what it looks like in action. This is little papules that are on the skin. Those papules will go away in about 24 hours. They're already gone on me now. A little tiny bit of swelling, but the papules aren't there. So those papules, that's actually the solution that we were using. And it just takes about 24 hours for it to really integrate into the tissue well. What I will be left with is just tiny, that 200 micron entry point, that little pinpoint bleeding you get, little red dots on the skin. Those are typically gone on the body about 2 weeks. On the face, those are gone in about 5 to 7 days. But what we're doing is we're just going right over the line. That's really your focus, to be able to generate that collagen and help fill in a natural way. Now, if they're really deep lines, you can use a cross-linked HA that is more viscous. So for example, this system also treats acne scars. So if they're deeply pitted acne scars, the viscosity of your filler can be higher. Lower cohesivity and a higher G prime. I hope I didn't say that backwards.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, look, you can see the pinpoint bleeding there. That was good. And then you have the viscosity to actually truly, you can kind of bulk up that area slightly, not in a way where filler will do, of course, but in a way that is always going to be natural. You're never going to have complications. It is an art form when you're doing the treatment. It's actually a lot of fun, but it's not so artsy like when you're injecting lips where, I could mess up. You're not going to mess up with this one, but it's still slightly an art form, which is fun. I know I'm kind of going off topic because we're talking about tech neck here, but it can do a kinetic facelift. So it can inject into the scalp to lift the lower face, the neck. Actually, it lifts the neck, so this is perfect. And the eyes. And that's kind of a fun art form too, because you sit them up, you pull, you see where you can really get the lift in certain areas. And then that's where you inject back into the scalp to lift that whole or upper face. So artsy, but safe artsy, I would say. All right, so that's probably enough there. Now back
My
to Olivia.
turn. Okay, so we'll talk about VFR, whether you don't know about VFR or maybe this is a refresher for you. So VFR is our fractionated radio frequency, and we can get into skin resurfacing with this or ablation. And I'll talk a little bit about what it's doing and then why it's so great. So fractionated radio frequency treats fractions of the skin at a time. So we are creating these little microscopic thermal zones to the skin, but we are leaving intact epidermal and dermal cells that will help us to heal faster. So we can get really beautiful skin resurfacing results without the horrible, like scary Freddy Krueger downtime. And that's a huge benefit of fractionated RF. We have cells left over to help us heal so that they're not having to go through that horrible downtime. So we can control our biological response with our setting. So it's SVC is the proprietary technology. So it'll ask you, what program are you selecting, whether it's shallow in the epidermis for resurfacing, medium and deep, in the papillary and reticular dermis for more of that coagulation, skin rejuvenation, and skin tightening. So you have control over that. So whether your patient is okay with downtime and they need ablation, you can do that, but also you don't have to do ablation if they don't want that downtime, or social downtime as we like to call it, or they don't even need ablation. You can just do really great deep volumetric heating of the dermis to stimulate that collagen. And we can actually do both ablation and coagulation at the same time. So we are resurfacing the epidermis to create that new epidermis, but also helping with skin rejuvenation and that body, and just promoting the body to create those new epidermal and dermal cells. So that is like the really beautiful part of BFR, is that we can do both together. And that is done with our pulse duration in that corner here. So like that 70 milliseconds is really great for that ablation and coagulation, where, the 50 milliseconds is more ablative, and all the way up to 100 is just full collagen production, and the epidermis is left unaffected. So we'll be talking more about the VFR in one of our, patient scenarios for sure. But this is really great if the patient has tech neck plus some laxity and some texture, which you'll definitely see. And so that would most likely be, in your older patients for sure. Okay. Next, we'll talk about the VST. And we love the VST so much. So it uses bipolar radio frequency along with core technology. So by the way, bipolar radio frequency, the energy is really just staying localized to the treatment area, which is great. It's typically more comfortable for sure, versus, with monopolar, the RF is being spread out throughout that whole body to deliver to the grounding pad. So very, very comfortable treatment, which is great. And then we are also using core technology, so channeling optimized RF energy. And this allows us to control the depth of penetration of that RF energy into the tissue. So whether you have like really thick skin patient or really thin skin, you can, select the proper mode in order to hit that dermis to stimulate collagen and elastin and heat that fibroblast cell. So what are we doing with the VST? So we are denaturing old, rigid connective tissue, and we are replacing it, through fibroblast stimulation, we are replacing it with collagen types 1 and 3. So we're getting rid of the old collagen that doesn't really serve us any longer and replacing it with new, healthy collagen, which of course will diminish fine lines and wrinkles and just thicken the skin in general. And then also collagen remodeling, so breaking down the intermolecular crosslinks that become stretched out over time. The heat will kind of break those apart. When they come back together, they come back a lot closer together. That way our skin is a lot thicker and just has better bounce back in general. So again, we'll be talking more about this and when to use it, depending on what your patient is looking for. Okay, back to you.
All right. So you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, and that is the staples, right? The two things that really important to have in a practice that can also, of course, target the neck. So the first one being the Pristine. So the Pristine is our diamond tip microdermabrasion. We have a ton of different tip sizes. So large ones for the body. Let's say someone has like keratosis pilaris on the arms or ingrown hairs on the body. We actually have one specifically for the neck. It's a little bit bigger than the one for the face, so that's great. You can do a full neck very quickly. And then we have different tips for the face, but you can also use it on the body, of course, that has different coarsenesses. So it's the way that the diamonds are rough cut and then placed on the tip. So Our fine tip has very small cut diamonds and a lot of them. And then our more coarse tips have bigger size diamonds and not as many on the tip. So I always explain it, it's kind of like sandpaper. When you want to sand something down very finely, there's a ton of sand and smaller grains of sand. Opposite, there's not as many grains of sand and they're larger. So same thing with the diamonds. But why would you want this for the neck? One, it's going to remove the dead skin cells. So we're just getting overall, life to the tissue, right? We have 15 to 30 dead skin layers at a time. That starts to make the tissue very dull, very dry. It just doesn't look lively whatsoever. So it's removing the dead skin cells. Additionally, it has a vacuum, either strong or light, whatever you need to do to that skin. If it's an older patient with thin skin, of course, you want to use a light vacuum. If it's really deep necklines and the patient is younger, then you can turn that vacuum up. What that's going to do is, one, a deeper exfoliation, of course, but I think the biggest thing is that vacuum is increasing microcirculation. That microcirculation is then bringing oxygen and nutrients to the tissue, and it's making the skin overall much more healthy. Now, the reason why this is a staple within a practice, well, one, it's a great monthly treatment just to make your skin always look great. And by the way, it really reduces pore size. I do it every month because of that. And I always include my neck because people always forget about their neck. They'll come in for the face, but start talking to them now about their neck and start doing something now, even if it's something as light as this. But the biggest thing is that it's prepping the skin for everything else you're going to do. So you can imagine that you're removing the dead skin cells. So you're going to get a better depth of penetration with your RF, with your lasers, with your IPL, with anything you're doing. But that oxygen and that nutrients and that microcirculation that's being brought to the tissue, now you have really alive skin to then want to wanting to really bring in the RF, bring in the light-based technologies to get a really good result with your kind of stronger powered, systems that you're going to use after. So that's why it's such a staple within a practice, but it's a great standalone, especially for what we're talking about today, the tech neck. It really is great standalone for that. Your next staple within a practice, this is our Dermafuse. So reason why it's a staple, it just boosts your results. It really, really boosts your results. And so you hear us talking a lot about combination therapy, right? Doing combinations to get that ultimate result. This is just that one thing that you use at the end, or maybe you use it before to really make everything else you're doing shine. I'm not going to go too deep into like all of our serums that we have, all of our ampules, because we could do a lot. We have ones for fat, we have ones for acne. So we have a lot. So I won't fully go into that because that's not the topic today. But I will go into the two serums that really help a tech neck. So first, what does the technology do? It was actually invented in 1909 by a German professor. He actually won the Nobel Prize for it, and it's called electroporation. He wanted a way of being able to put DNA into a cell without having to puncture it. Of course, you can enter it with, a needle or a needle. So he did not. He just, he's a professor. He wanted to find a way of doing it, and he invented electroporation, which now we use for cosmetics, which is amazing. So it takes the cell and it just kind of restructures it. I won't fully go into the depth of it. I have a webinar on that if you really want to dive into the science of it. But it kind of restructures the cell to where it can open. And when the cell opens, that's when we can put really important ingredients into that cell. And then once you stop doing the treatment, then that cell then closes. So the great thing is it creates channels through the skin, and it can go very deep. It can go into a fat cell if you want it to, but it creates channels through the skin, and then it finds the receptor. The receptor is the cell that wants the ingredient. So for example, if you're using collagen booster, it's kind of says it in the name, right? We want to build collagen on the neck. We don't want those lines anymore. We don't want the loose sagginess anymore. So what it's doing is the fibroblast cell is going to find these ingredients. the fibroblast cell, that's the cell that secretes collagen fibers. It will open and it will receive hydrolyzed collagen. It will receive vitamin C. We have to have vitamin C to produce collagen, period. If we weren't getting vitamin C in some way in our diet, we would end up with scurvy where our body cannot produce collagen. So it needs it. So just that thought, you can understand just that one ingredient, how important that is to not only stimulate collagen, but to build healthy collagen. So we're stimulating with things like VFR, with Energet, with ST. Now, not only are we stimulating, now we're making sure that the collagen is healthy. Okay, so I won't go too deep in that. And then also intensive hydration. Intensive hydration is using HA, not cross-linked, but just HA. And we're just putting HA into the skin. You guys know how important HA is, right? It's a glycosaminoglycan. It's an incredibly important structure to our overall skin makeup. We need it. We need it to look full, to look healthy, for the tissue to have I just spit for the tissue to have life. I got very excited. I'm glad you guys weren't standing right in front of me. For the tissue to actually have life. The great ingredient in the intensive hydration ampule is the saccharide isomerate. That ingredient binds to the epidermis, to the keratinocytes, the most superficial part of our skin. The HA is going deeper into our deeper dermis, and then that ingredient stays a lot more superficial. It traps in the HA. So it's not like you're doing this treatment and they're going to look nice and hydrated and plumped for 24 hours. No, it's actually pretty long living. I would say 3 to 4 weeks. So if they're doing this on a monthly basis, they're always seeing the results, right? So we will now go into, did I miss anything here?
No,
Okay.
you got it.
Okay. Oh, one thing, intensive hydration can always be used before the RF treatments too. We can hydrate the tissue, especially if they live somewhere like I do in Las Vegas, or they're just overall just that really dehydrated skin. RF and light-based treatments are not going to work very well on them because the chromophore that these technologies want is water. So you can use this before all of your RF treatments, and then you're just going to get that better of a result. So just on a side note. Okay.
Perfect.
So I think I do the first one. Nope, you do the first
I'm
one.
the first
Okay.
one. Okay. So first patient profile that we will talk about is the,
I don't know if you like that.
no, that's okay. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
Is no one can know. So working in clinic for 6 years, I saw this all the time. They did not want their husband to know. So first of all, they paid in cash. But second of all, they didn't want any downtime, or they, they have a wedding or whatever the case may be. It is very common that they do not want downtime, but we can still provide really, really amazing results. So this is what your protocol would be. So as Kara just explained, first is the pristine, to exfoliate those dead skin cells, bring oxygen to the tissue. That way there's less dead skin cells there. The RF will penetrate even better. So pristine first. Honestly, it's a quick 5-minute treatment, really great add-on. So more revenue for you as well, which is nice. Then we would go into the VST. So again, that radio frequency, we're stimulating collagen, absolutely no downtime. A little bit of erythema is normal, right? Because we're creating heat within the skin to produce that collagen. Usually goes down very, very quickly, maybe like no more than I'd say 30 minutes after treatment. Some people have different sensitivities and can stay red a little bit longer, but no long-term redness for sure. And then after, and by the way, 4 to 8 VST treatments. So just depending on the severity, right? So is it just baby wrinkles right now or baby tech neck, or are they quite deep and we need to do a few more treatments for sure. But we always say to undersell and over deliver. So if you're not sure, how many to sell, it's always better to sell a couple, 2 more than not enough. And then you're finishing off with, after every single treatment, you're finishing with Dermafuse Collagen Booster. So again, you're just really helping that fibroblast cell to produce super healthy collagen. So you're boosting results. And then we provided pricing too. That's always a huge question. Like, how much would I charge for this? So on the low end, 4 treatments would be $1,500. So it's a $100 add-on for both Pristine and Dermafuse. Versus on the high end is $2,200, and it's $150 add-on for Dermafuse and Pristine, 8 treatments, low would be $3,200, same add-on cost. High would be $4,400 with that same add-on cost. So great revenue for sure. Treatments are really quick. I'd say overall, this would take no more than an hour for sure at the most. So, all right. Passing it on. Oh, no, I have pictures. I forgot about those. So some before and after photos for you. This is only 4 BST treatments and on an older woman too. She's 60 years old and it shows what modes they used. So really, really amazing results. And she has some horizontal necklines as well as some sagging as well.
And then also consider that this is without Pristine and Dermafuse.
Yes.
So if you guys have both the Pristine and Dermafuse, I'm sure you can only imagine how good that would look.
Yes, and this is the same woman, I believe. And look at this. I love this,
so
this Cementum. I know that's not what we're talking about today, but it's all part of it, right?
Yeah, it is.
They'll have tech neck plus sagging and texture. They'll have all the things a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And don't neglect the neck when you said, like, most people don't
think
focus
about
on the
it,
neck.
or they think about it too late.
Yes, and you've inspired me. I'm going to start being better about treating my neck. Here's one more. So this is a 72-year-old woman, 9 BST treatments. So this demonstrates, well, more severe aging. You'll for sure need a few more treatments compared to not so severe. But just look at these lines here before and then after. My gosh, absolutely incredible. A lot of them are completely gone, honestly.
Yeah.
So just to give you a visual, and then we'll go in. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. There we go.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So I think this is my favorite. I talk about this a lot. Gotta have it now. I feel like that's kind of like where most people are at now that technologies are getting more and more common for people. It's not so like, ooh, I gotta, hide what I did because I'm the first person that I know that started doing Botox, something like that, and lying about it, right? We're in a different era now, thank goodness. So the gotta have it now, what are we gonna do? So to give them that ultimate result very quickly, and when I say very quickly, I mean after the first treatment, it's going to be pretty dramatic. So treatment 1 is going to be Energet. I probably don't have to go into that much because you could see the video, you heard what it does, and it is incredibly dramatic after 1 treatment. And you're just going to do that 3 times in a row, once a month. So every 4 weeks, Energet, 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 and then you're going to top it with a little combination therapy at the end. So their 4th treatment is going to be prepping the skin really quick with the Pristine, getting that oxygen going, remove the dead skin cells. Then we're going to go in with the VFR. It depends if they have texture or not. I'm 42 and I already have texture issues, so I'm sure a lot of your clients will as well. And I always say most everyone that has wrinkles has texture problems. Not the case as much on a neck, but it still can be a possibility for sure. So you can do ablation and coagulation. If they do not have textural issues and it's just those deep lines, forget the ablation, just do a longer millisecond, go deep, always go deep for that overall tightening, lifting, fibroblast cell stimulation. And then you're always going to boost it with the collagen booster. So you're going to do that 2 times in a row and I can promise you, be fully transformed with this protocol. Okay, so pricing on that for everything that we said, low $4,200 and the high is going to be $6,400. Now, if you want, you can go higher than this. Absolutely. Because we know if you're going to use a cross-linked HA with the Energet, that HA is costing you. So completely understandable. You can go higher than this and it is a very dramatic result. So for sure, bump it up if you need to.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, I'm back. Okay, so just a few before and after photos that you can see. This is without that combination approach, just the 3 Energet treatments. So I promised you it would be dramatic. And this is before she would even go through the VFR, the Pristine, the collagen booster. I'm sure you can picture it. I look at her and that's, really what I see there is just a little bit more tightening and texture improvement would change everything. You may be pretty good at 3 Energet treatments, but I mean, yeah, I see texture still, where the lines were, there's still texture going on. So you can absolutely boost it with those last 2 treatments. And I mean, same here. Like she probably only needs 3, even the textures. The Energet is dramatic for texture. I do have to say, some may need that little boost. Someone like her, probably not so much. She'd probably be super happy after the 2. But I mean, when we say we can solve tech neck problem, we can solve the tech neck problem.
Yes, that's only 3 weeks after 2 treatments too. So not even her full
Result.
collagen, yeah,
Yeah.
production quite yet. So
Totally.
really amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
This is, it's someone that is absolutely genetically dispositioned for the tech neck, and we don't even need to call it the tech neck, because even if we didn't have cell phones, unfortunately, she would still suffer from this. You can just see that it's genetic, but it's absolutely going to be made worse in this day and era, with looking down. But one for her, how amazing and dramatic. I don't know her, but I'm happy for her. It really is.
Yay.
It is incredible. Okay, so our next one.
Okay, so this is the pinching my pennies. As Kara said, it happens for sure. With me too. So it is Pristine and Dermafuse. You've heard all about it. We are doing Pristine immediately before Dermafuse. Again, we'll get better absorption of that collagen booster serum. Also, I forgot to mention it, my first No One Can Know, this combination plus the No One Can Know combo is also great for the summer. Like if they cannot, have downtime because they're out in the sun all the time, which we obviously don't want them out in the sun for any treatments because it, denatures collagen and whatnot. As long as they're good about sunscreen and covering up and reapplying, it's no issue whatsoever because they have zero downtime, no entry points or matrix marks, anything like that.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So if they're coming to you in the middle of the summer and they're like, I'm on the boat every single weekend, there's no way, you can definitely start them on something like this. And then you can always transition to the gotta have it now if that's something that they're looking for. Yeah. So pricing low would be $1,200. This is for 8 treatments. High would be $2,200. So definitely affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially for 2 months of treatments.
Yeah. And also on your younger patients who are just barely starting to form those little baby tech neck wrinkles, just start them on this, and do something like you said.
This is such a good preventative. I can't stress that enough. The patients that are scared of it, they're looking at their mom and they know they're going to get it. 25 years old, start them on this. I can promise you this is going to keep their neck very, 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 very strong. All right. And another thing, this whole thing, it can be less than 30 minutes.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. Fast. So it's not like, okay, they have to not spend a lot of money, but then what happens to you? It won't be that way. They have to, save a bit of money and not spend a lot with you, but your ROI is going to be great because it's a quick treatment with super low consumables. So it's a happy win. Both sides, it's happy. Okay. So I just wanted to drop in a couple, just because the Energet is a bit, newer for a lot of people. They don't know about it. I just wanted to pop in a couple studies, the proof of what we're showing you. This is my favorite study. I actually like to focus more on the second 2 photos, although you can see the collagen remodeling and the density of the collagen on the first photo is amazing. But the glycosaminoglycans, our second photo here, and again, remembering that cross-linked HA is a glycosaminoglycan and GAGs are incredibly important for our structure of our skin. This is really amazing. It's the blue color that you're seeing. It's just unreal. And it's 1 month after the treatment. And I bet you anything, if you took that same histological photo 6 months after the treatment, it would still be the same, because remembering that cross-linked HA is living for a long time in that tissue. So if you can just picture that's where it's a wow. But of course we want collagen. That's our most important thing. So I shouldn't say most important, but the glycosaminoglycans is probably just as important. But the fibroblast cell migration, right? So when we have that controlled injury and we can visually see those fibroblasts migrating to the area that you want them to migrate to, and all of those little purple dots, what they're doing right now is they're secreting collagen fibers. So it really is incredible. And the pink that you're seeing is the collagen that they've already built. So we have proof. We have so many studies. It's crazy how many studies we've done on the Energet. But we didn't include them all because, you know, we wanted to stick to the theme of the webinar. If you ever want to see them, of course we have them. You can just email us. But here's one for dermal thickening. I think I said that earlier that I've never seen anything like this for dermal thickening. The photo that you're seeing here is a décolleté. That is, even though this is off topic, that is also one of the hardest things to treat when you have a woman that comes in with like elastosis, that there's crepiness, that you can see maybe they have larger breasts. So when they're sleeping, they're pushing together all night and creating those deep lines, crepiness because of the sun, all the things, right? This truly transforms that skin. But it does it for the neck as well, as you can see in the before and after photos. So this study you can see in all of the areas. I'll just point to the neck. It's the third one over. Before any Energet treatments, after right after 3 treatments, the improvement of the dermal thickness, and it's actually a measurement. It's actually the measurement of the thickness. So that's right after 3 months, right after the 3 treatments. And then the yellow is going to be 6 months post. This is when it's truly telling the real result. And it's still increased from that last treatment, of course, because we gave it more time. So you can see it's almost a millimeter in growth there, which is incredible. Okay. So as always, you know that there's a lot of different ways that you can get a hold of us. You can scan the QR code with any questions that you may have. Also, you guys can write in now. You can write into the chat and ask questions. Please, please do. We love questions. And then there's all of the emails that you can use to ask for certain things. Maybe you want to see the studies or something else, you can always call us. And then there is our handle for Instagram, for TikTok, for Facebook. And then there's myself for Instagram. I am not on really any of the others, but that's my Instagram. Aaliyah is on every single one, probably ones we don't even know about yet. She's probably already on them.
I got TechNet covered.
She's got TechNet covered.
Lots of Energet for me.
She needs to start. But there's her handle for all of the social medias. But yeah, we're just going to wait a second and see if you guys have any questions. So our next question, can it be used on all Fitzpatrick skin types? Every single thing that we mentioned today is safe for every skin type and very safe for every skin type. The only one that you want to be a little bit lower in your energy on your skin type 4, 5s, and 6s is the VFR, the ablative, for probably obvious reasons. But it's still incredibly safe. You just start a little bit lower in your energy. That's it. Oh, I don't see the code here. I just posted, so I hope you see it now.
Can Internet?
Oh, Energet.
Oh, Energet.
That's it. Can Energet be used by non-registered staff? So that question is tricky. When you say non-registered, so it so depends on your state. It's typically who can use injectables in your state is usually the ones that can be the operator of the Energet. But we can give you way more clarification. Just email the info.na@sinclair.com, and we can really get in more detail about that with you for sure. I think that's what she asked.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Can write in if that wasn't.
Yeah, if that was wrong. If we were way off there. What are the other areas of use? So I'm guessing you're talking about the Energet. Okay, so the things that it can do, it does the kinetic facelift like I was talking about. What's great about that is that there's no downtime because there's papules, yes, but they're hidden because they're in the scalp. We are starting a study for hair growth, which is incredible because the Energet does not hurt at all. It's anybody that's had it done 0 through 10, the most they're ever saying is about a 3. So it's incredibly comfortable. So we're really hopeful and it looks really good for hair growth because that's going to be a game changer, especially like men and the discomfort of needles. So that should be coming soon. It's not like a release protocol yet. It can be used on like the palms for hyperhidrosis or anywhere for hyperhidrosis. You can use Botox in those areas. It can be used for keloid scars. It can be used for hypertrophic scars because we are using things like Kenalog. Um, so steroids really to break down that scar tissue, which is really great. Again, you can go needle free. It is tremendous for acne scarring.
Stretch marks.
Oh, stretch marks, any type of scar tissue, it can do. It can treat like the crow's feet on the eyes, any like lines. We can't do it like on the lips or under the eye because of the strength of the pressure, but there's quite a few areas that you can use it on. Can Energet be used under eye? Oh, no, unfortunately not. I know it's a bummer. That pressure is just it's just too much for the under eye, but it can be used for crow's feet for sure. For the facelift Energet, do we numb the skin? No need.
No.
Zero need. It's that super high pressure. It completely tricks the nerve. It's your brain doesn't even go to what's happening. It's truly nothing, nada. I guess I should never say nothing.
I had a treatment yesterday and it was super comfortable.
Yeah.
Definitely have had more painful things for sure.
Yeah.
It's
nothing
easy,
like a
easy.
filler, like a needle filler or
Uh-uh.
cannula, nothing like that.
Yep. Like a 2 for sure for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So no need for numbing.
You also have lidocaine. Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Oh,
lidocaine in your filler too. So they do
Yes.
already kind of naturally just get a little numbing after the first couple shots.
You're so right about
Yep.
that.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say something, but I totally can't remember what it was. Energet and glabella region. Yeah, like if yeah, totally. Think of anybody that had like scars on their face. You can treat like any scar on the face. If it was like a scar right under the eye, you could like really pull that skin down. I mean, you just got to be careful of how close you're getting. But yeah, glabella is fine. It's thick enough to treat like maybe a deep crease. Um, Someone that's not into neurotoxin and has that deep crease, yeah, totally. It could transform that area.
Which is great because I know a lot of injectors are not up for injecting the glabella with filler. It's a very high risk area.
Yeah.
So no risk of vascular occlusions here. I know we're talking about
Such a high risk area.
Yeah, it totally
Such
is.
a high risk
Yeah.
area. That's so smart.
So yeah, no risk of vascular occlusion. So it's nothing you even have to think about, which is nice.
Such a good point.
Yep. Lots of questions.
I know. I love it.
I know.
Okay, good. So thank you guys so much. So fun to actually be together.
Yes,
this probably will
we do
never ever happen again. I shouldn't say
sure it
never
will.
ever.
It'll just be a while,
It'll happen.
hopefully.
It'll happen again. But we want to thank you guys so much. And then our next webinar is coming up in about 3-ish weeks.
Yeah, beginning of November.
Is that you
or
me?
It's you first.
Okay, I'm coming up. I'm coming back in about 3 weeks. I cannot remember the topic. I apologize, but what is it?
The
Oh,
VVR.
VVR. Yes, it's going to be a good one. It's for the intravaginal. And if you guys have our intravaginal technology, it's going to be a partnership with one of our doctors who's super successful with it. And he is, and his staff is joining on how they're marketing it and how they're selling it so well. So that will be in 3 weeks. Just make sure to register. We'll love to have you on that one. All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.